Well, welcome everybody. This is Heidi Hanna, and I am beyond excited to be doing this interview for several reasons. Number one, I'm going to be chairing our conference in 2018 for the Association for Applied and Therapeutic Humor. And if you haven't heard about us yet, you will. I'm going to encourage you to go to AATH.org for more information. But we're chairing the conference, or I'm chairing the conference next year in San Diego, which is my hometown. And it's going to be April 12th through the 15th. We're just now starting to share who the speakers are going to be. And I have been just chomping at the bit to tell you all about what we have in store. So this very first interview that we get to do to share with you is with someone I'm so delighted is going to be joining us, Yakov Smirnoff. And I feel like for those of you who've been living in a hole or possibly born in like the last decade who don't know who this person is, I'm gonna give you a little bit of a snapshot here. Yakov Smirnoff has been in the United States since the 70s, and as a child of the 70s, I grew up watching him on TV on shows like Night Court and movies like The Money Pit. He had his own show for a while, and he was doing stand-up comedy and just has this beautiful way of blending the reality of the world we live in with the playfulness and the irony that makes us able to be more resilient. And that's really the theme of our conference and why I'm so excited that he's going to be with us. In addition to being a performer, though, this guy has got some serious brains. He has been studying as well. He did the program at the University of Pennsylvania, the Master's in Applied Positive Psychology, which I know many of you are familiar with. And I've heard it is also continuing to learn in a PhD program. He teaches courses on the business of laughter. He's got a new show called Happily Ever Laughter that I'm hoping he'll share with us just a little bit about what that's about. So before I give it all away, Yakov, welcome and thank you so much for being part of this.
You're so welcome. Thank you. This is like a really exciting opportunity and to meet people who appreciate humor and study humor and see this healing power of it. And being a comedian for many, many years is, I guess I've been a doctor all those years, but I didn't know, that I could have used that title. Now I'm getting my doctorate degree, so I will use that title, Dr. Yakov.
So now I just want to warn you when you do that, because I went down that road too.
Yes.
And I know you would never do this. Don't lose your creative brilliance, because those doctors can be really dull. So
I don't think we're going to have that problem. I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think so.
So one little fun side note, I don't know if everybody knows this, but Yakov Smirnoff was not your original born name. Is that correct?
It was
Can you
not.
talk a little bit about that story?
It used to be Jack Daniels, and I just Americanized it a little. Well, I was born in Odessa, Ukraine, and very humble beginnings. And I was a comedian in former Soviet Union, and most people don't realize that there was comedy in Russia in those days, and we had comedians. We also had a department of jokes, which is not a joke, which was part of Ministry of Culture that would censor our material. Yeah. And we had to stay with the script for a year. And so when I came to the United States, there was freedom. I didn't speak English, but I was determined that I will do comedy in America. So I started working as a bartender. And people would ask for Smirnoff, and it's a very common Russian name. So I decided that will be something that I can use, and it's already famous. So I kind of figured, why not jump on a bandwagon? And then that way they don't have a problem. They had a problem pronouncing Yakov, but Smirnoff, nobody had problems pronouncing. So that's
if they hadn't been drinking yet, then it was.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Well, I think that's fun and creative, and I was fascinated to see that. And obviously, I mean, I was so familiar with your work growing up in that era. But I've been even more fascinated with what you're doing now. So can you tell us a little bit about, where you're at now in studying positive psychology and continuing your education, and kind of how that's evolved into your new show, which I believe is in Branson, Missouri?
Well, I have a theater. I own a theater in Branson, Missouri.
Okay.
It's 2,000-seat theater. In the last 20 years, I entertain over 4.5 million people there. And
Wow.
slowly, with my interest in correlation between laughter and happiness, I started seeing that something very unique happens, that because I'm a comedian and because I gauge the happiness of my audience by the amount of laughter, I start noticing that in every relationship, when it's healthy, there's a lot of laughter. And when it gets unhealthy, laughter goes away. So it became like a pulse that I noticed that people who have that, they're prospering, and people who don't are, unfortunately, their relationships are not doing well. So I started exploring this from the scientific standpoint, and because I had so many people going through my audience, I could ask them questions, and so it became kind of a scientific sample after a while, when you have this many people saying, yes, we do all remember laughter being part of the honeymoon stage. And yes, we don't know how to reproduce that or sustain that. Then, I mean, anytime you want to fix something or improve it, you have to be able to measure the results. And so I started seeing laughter as a gauge of happiness. And that took me to Martin Seligman, the University of Pennsylvania. And I studied with him. And then I did several other things, I did a Broadway show on this topic. Then lately I did my PBS show that was named the best new PBS show in 2016. Wow. It's called Happily Ever Laughter, and it runs occasionally on PBS, so you probably can catch it. But it became something that I wanted not just to be funny about this, I wanted to be accurate, and scientific proof made it very obvious to me that there's ingredients that Mother Nature gives us during the honeymoon stage of our relationship, and the Mother Nature is like hosting a happy hour during that time, and the cocktail of oxytocin and dopamine and serotonin makes us very happy, and tells us, kind of whispers into our ear what to do, because Mother Nature is very interested in procreation. Right. But in actual affection, that I don't know if Mother Nature really thought it through that far. So so we don't really know what we're doing right during that honeymoon stage. So that became my field of interest. And I started to seeing that there is a formula that you can actually induce those hormones in our bodies intentionally, as opposed to unconsciously. And that's what I'm teaching, and this is what I'm presenting, and this is what became my passion.
I was excited to talk to you. I am so much more excited now that you're coming to speak with us, because, I feel like we're your tribe. We are the people who take humor seriously. And one of the first things I learned is it's not about being funny, but seeing funny and humor appreciation, and that you can actually train yourself to notice more things funny, and actually through training, use that as a communication tool, as a leadership tool, certainly as a tool for resilience. So this event that you're going to be speaking at, of course, the conference runs the 12th through the 15th of April. But on the 13th, we're going to do something really special and new. It's Friday the 13th, after all. We are actually going to have our conference double in size just for one night for people who are in caregiving roles, to teach them about how to use humor in caregiving, because we know that people in caregiving roles have a lot of stress, obviously. And I didn't really put the two together, Yakov, but as you're talking about that, I'm thinking what a great gift to give people, especially those caregiving for people with dementia, Alzheimer's, other terminal illnesses, military vets with PTSD. These are the people we're going to be actually raising money for through this event on Friday the 13th. So of course, we want everyone to come to the conference, but if you can't make it to the conference, I do want you to go ahead and check out the website and find out about that Comedy for Caregivers event. And you'll get a chance to meet Yakov and hear about this amazing work that he's doing. So before we wrap up, and I said I want to keep it short because if we tell them everything now, they're not gonna show up, and we want them to come hang out with us. Just tell me, like, what's the thing happening for you right now that you're most excited about?
Oh, I am excited about going to, I'm going to Houston to do a presentation at Lakewood Church, which is Joel Osteen Church.
Yeah.
And so that's probably going to be the biggest audience live 8,000 people.
Wow.
And so I'm really excited to share that. And I'll be in company of several. Gary Chapman is going to be part of that conference, and so I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, so I'm excited about that. And just thought to ponder on, not to confuse you guys, but it's something that we have. I'm going to share that with you. That there's a very clear distinction for me. Is one is humor, one is laughter, and humor is what really triggers laughter. A lot of times we use that interchangeably, but they're very much a cause and effect. And to create, I'm going to share basically with you how laughter is created, but it has a surprise because it's really about meeting other people's needs is what is a setup, and humor is just a punchline. And we all have good sense of humor, most people do. And in the beginning of the relationships, we have no problem creating laughter. It's to sustain it, we have a problem. So the reason we don't know how, because we stop meeting each other's needs. Just a little preview to that. So it becomes very tangible if you want to intentionally create laughter. Mm-hmm. You just focus on needs of the people you're around, and caregivers obviously do that very well, and that's why it's so exciting to be part of this conference.
Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful. And perfect segue. We didn't plan this out, but for those of you who want to learn more about humor, we also have a 3-year program called the Humor Academy. It's always the first day before or the day right before the conference. That'll be on April 11th this year. But you actually spend time learning. The first year is about theory, the second year is about application and research, and the third year is about leadership. And that is something I had never thought of before, but we talk about humor versus laughter versus wit, and where they happen in the brain and how they manifest in the body. And when you really see the power that humor has to make us better at the things that are important and make us better with the people who are important, you'd never want to do life the same way. And so this is going to be an incredible session. Obviously, we hope that you will join us, and you can get information about the conference at AATH.org. I'll post a link here on this video as well. We look forward to seeing you. And I do want to say this isn't a pressure or a stress, but we are going to sell out this conference. If you're thinking about it, please sign up because there's a limited availability at the venue, and I don't want you to miss it. So thank you again, Yakov. I'm so excited to meet you in April. I'm so grateful for all the work that you're doing. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.